Call the studio at 572-9710 or WhatsApp 287-0971 or Reva. Office numbers are 572-0383 and 572-0215. Reva St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM for an educational and informative program, Meet the Opposition. Participate in exciting discussions from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be in the know every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM for an educational and informative program, Meet the Opposition. Participate in exciting discussions from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be in the know every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Speaker, and take responsibility when they see something going wrong in this country, in their community, in their houses, in their jobs. It embodies the idea that accountability isn't just for leaders, but for every citizen. Tanya Stevens reminds us of corruption in high and low places only to remind us that because we have a colonial mentality, we see only the oppression that is above us and not the oppression that is among us. Creating a culture of silence in the face of patent wrongdoing is not just acceptable, it is dangerous and it is destructive. And speaking up respectfully and, more importantly, speaking truth becomes a civic duty of every citizen of this country and everyone who chooses to want to live among us, even though not a citizen.
Time now for another episode of Meet the Opposition, hosted by Nancy Charles. Ms. Charles, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Andre. Good morning, St. Lucia. It's another pleasure to be here with you this morning on Meet the Opposition on 97.1 FM if you're listening to us on radio, and also on revslu.com if you're listening to us via social media, our Facebook and YouTube channel. This morning, Andre, it's been a little bit wet. Driving up all the way, it was wet. It's been raining from last night. I think some of the farmers are happy and some of the farmers are not happy. You know, we don't really know what we want, because we want just we just want enough rain, but not too much. So sometimes when it's too much, you're like, okay, Lord, that's enough rain, you know.
So why is that? Why is that?
It depends on the type of crops that you grow. Some crops don't like too much water, some crops like water. So sometimes you have certain crops that you say, oh yes, the rain is really good, but there are certain crops like it's just too much rain. But there was a song you played this morning, I think, is it by Akon, that it's a beautiful day.
That's right.
Thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain, thank you for laughter, thank you for everything. You know, the good always comes with the bad, and the bad always comes with the good. We can't avoid it, we just need to be thankful. So this morning, St. Lucia, I hope you are thankful, and I am thankful. I'm thankful to have you another Thursday to listen to us, to give us about 2 hours of your time. I am very, very grateful. Those of you in the diaspora, thank you so much. Andre, I have to shout out a particular lady from my community, Dede. I hope you're listening to me this morning. There are some people that are listening religiously every Thursday, and you know, sometimes they want you to give them a little shout out, Andre.
Of course.
So shout out to my people. I have some of my friends by the market. I know I have some of my people in Tiroche, my Creole posse, who always tell me, Nansoni pou parler pli patois, na parler pli patois, okay? And so it's going to be another beautiful day, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, I do like to start up with my word of encouragement. And Andre, I had an interesting conversation last week with a few farmer friends. And you know, whenever people are a little bit idling, waiting for something, we were waiting for feed for our animal, you know, and a whole gang just there talking. Conversations go all over the place, and eventually it ended up on church, of course.
Mm-hmm. And politics.
Politics was at the center for sure. But the discussion started, and then one particular person said that, they're not going to church anymore. And because of, who was doing a hypocrite and who was doing this and who was doing that, etc. And then I gently reminded him, I said to him, let me tell you something. Church is not for the people who are righteous and who are holy, in effect. You go there to give thanks that God is helping you every day. But church is for the people who are most in need, the people you think that quote unquote most sinning and most sinful and most everything. That's who church is for. And why? When I recall, Andre, when Christ came, you remember when he came to the temple and there was all these type of activities happening, etc. And even during that time, people felt that there were different classes of people. So I was less of a sinner because I'm married, and you're more of a sinner because you're not married but you're living with somebody. So I have that right to be able to go to church and bring my hands up and everything, but you don't have that right. So that's where we remember the story of the Pharisees, when they would come and pay all the tithes, and this little widow stood at the door because she felt she was not even worthy. That's what I think sometimes we've created in our culture of churches today, that certain people are not worthy to come into church, into the house that we say is the house of God or the house of prayer. And so it creates that wall that people don't feel comfortable that they need to come. My encouragement to you this morning, St. Lucia, is I know it's difficult, but try not to look at those type of outward things, who's doing what, who's doing not what, who is a hypocrite, who's not a hypocrite, because that's not what you go to church for. Really, you go, it's almost like when and you don't have to go to, some people say, well, I don't have to go to church to pray. Of course not. You don't have to go to church to have a relationship with God. Of course not. But what it does, Andre, is that there are days when you're feeling down, that like a friend you're not feeling too, and a friend calling and say, Cassandra, let's go for a drink, and by the time you'll sit down and talk, you realize that he's going for the same thing that you thought you were the only one going through. That's what church really is for, to encourage people to say, listen, the experiences you're going through, I'm going through it. This is how I overcame, this is what I did, that kind of a thing. I want to encourage you. Don't look at what anybody else is doing to say, me, I'm not going in that church, and I'm not going there, and I'm not going there. These people hypocrites, and they're doing more things than me, etc. Go so that you can get the desired help that you need. If you believe, to get the desired help that you need, and check only yourself. The Bible did not give us the authority to check anybody else but just yourself. So my encouragement to you this morning is, don't let anybody be an obstacle for you finding yourself in a house of prayer, in a place where you can get comfort, in a place where you can feel at ease and at home. I can tell you, in certain countries, people don't have that freedom that we have on a Sunday morning to have an open door church. Some people have to go in basements and they have to hide all over the place to even read the Bible. We have the privilege. Let us use it. So that's my encouragement for you today. Pachek Moon. Check call. I think there's a song that says that as well, right? Is it Teddy? Teddy has a song?
Yeah,
right.
Many.
So, pa check moun, check call. Check relasyon ou ek mon diye. Pa check sa pwet la ka fe, sa paste a ka fe, sa ish paste a ka fe, madame sa a ka fe, sa ki ka chante song lead ka fe. Pa check piese moun sa. Check call ek relasyon ou ek mon diye. Se sa ki pli important. Pis le jwa kay vini, ek ou kay mo, ek pitet ou kay do bout duvan bodi. I pa ima do ki sa Andre te ka fe, ki sa Nancy te ka fe, ki sa e kay ma do about call. So that's my encouragement to you this morning. Don't be like everybody else and say, I ain't going. Go and know why you're going. Andre?
Yes, well said.
I think you need to find yourself in a house of prayer over the weekend. Y'all agree with me, St. Lucia? If you agree. Oh, look. People said to me, very well, Andre. The people.
I have an excuse.
Oh, you have one school party Saturday night.
I'm playing Soufriere.
Don't worry. Well, what you can do, Andre, to begin with, just start catching the lives. I think most of the churches in and around St. Lucia and overseas as well, they're either on television or they're also on Facebook, so you can catch them. I mean, you can catch the Babono service. I normally try to catch the Babono service. I'm not Catholic, but I do love listening to Father Albert. So you can catch the Babono service perhaps on Facebook. You know? And
Let
see,
me ask you.
Yes.
Since you're talking about that, is it just as effective if you watch it? Because there are people who really physically can't go to a house to worship. So those services being brought to them via, social media, television. So is it the same thing?
For me, who I'm used to going into a church where I interact with people, etc. The experience for me is slightly different. But maybe for people who are at home, who bedridden and they just can't go, maybe the experience is also okay for them as well. It's what you view it and listen to it to expect. If you're just listening just for the thing to be playing on the radio and you're not listening and focusing and internalizing and getting something from it, then it has no effect for you. But I suppose to each his own. And so, of course, there are Sundays when I do have my political activities and I can't go to church. And because I have stuff to do at home first and then leave home early, I do listen on the television. I play it on my TV. My church in particular, and the experience is not necessarily the same, but at least I know I am listening and I'm trying to follow, and so that I can get something to satisfy me, and stuff. So to each his own, I suppose.
Definitely.
All right. Now, Andrea, we have a guest this morning, so I do not want to take a long time in addressing a few issues that popped up over the week since I was here. So I'm going to get right into it because there's one or two matters I really think that I need to clarify before we begin our program. And St. Lucia, I want you, we're trying to play this tape of Mia Motley before our program. And why am I doing that? I am deliberately doing that because I want to culture you, to get you to understand that it's not only in St. Lucia that we have this culture of silence happening. It's happening all over the place. And it is, for me, it's amazing to hear a sitting prime minister, not a former prime minister, but a sitting prime minister admonishing her people to say that this culture of silence that is being created in this country, I want you to speak up. And not only speak up, but I want you to speak the truth. If only we would hear that from our current sitting parliamentarians. And I said parliamentarians, meaning leader of the opposition as well, because he's a parliamentarian. But from our prime minister and our ministers of government, if only we could hear that. But what I think that is happening, Andre, is that this culture of silence is being perpetuated by them. And why do I say that, St. Lucia? And I'm sending a message to the St. Lucia Labour Party. I'm sending a message to supporters, friends, lawyers, all of these people from the St. Lucia Labour Party. When I come here and I sit in Andre Paul and Tony Paul and family studio, I am very careful and mindful what I allege, what I say, because I want to ensure that I can back it up with documents and information. I want y'all to be very careful. So when y'all are going to call people and say what Nancy say, make sure you'll quote Nancy correctly. In fact, my advice to you, because the show is still also on Facebook, you can go back and listen. Before you call people and tell them this is what Nancy say and this is what you heard she say, play the tape for them so they can hear for themselves. Because I don't come out here and talk papi show. And I'm saying specifically, especially last week, when I spoke about the town and village council report, I spoke facts. I spoke what was written and documented in that report. I spoke to the fact that Mr. Emron Matthew was a junior accountant. It says there, accountant 1. In normal business places, they call him an accounts clerk. That's what he was when he compiled this report. Fact. And if you want to deny that fact, Mr. Matthew, go ahead. But that's a fact. Your name was written on it and your position, your title. Fact. When we left government, you were an accountant in the Ministry of Education. Fact. Fact. Today, you are in the Accountant General's Department. Fact. That is as of today. In fact, you wrote in that report because you co-wrote the report. In fact, you were the person that I had the engagement with. When I got the call that my name is Emerald Matthew, I'm doing this audit of Tongue and Village report on behalf of the government, you can come out and say, if you are a truthful person, I cooperated with you 100%. You called me 100,000 times. Every time you called me seeking clarification, I responded. I gave you documents, I gave you information. Those you choose to omit, those, but I have them. I'm just telling you, I have all of them. I have the contract for Mr. Lucas Frederick. I have the subcontractors, all the subcontractors that Mr. Lucas Frederick subcontracted and gave the jobs to and paid the monies to, that I have all of that. So when Richard Frederick was calling out my name every day saying, Nancy, where the money, where the check, you were happy, gee, because you manipulated a report to say certain things. But today I come out and defend my name. Upa happy? Mama Tialo. How is it that you can co-write in a report and say that if you're working with Accountant General Department, it's a conflict for you to be chairing a particular constituency council because you were targeting a particular individual because you thought he was flambo, but today you're in the exact same position and it's not a conflict. That's a fact. So when you're calling to threaten, call me. I'm going to put together a disclaimer so Andre can play it before the show every time. So whenever you want to sue and you want to threaten, call me, sue me, and threaten me. I can stand up for myself. Don't try that. I needed to clarify that. Secondly, I also want to say to Mr. Richard Frederick, all right, we are still waiting for the documents to show. I realized that when I came out with my documents, etc., you stopped. You big bully. That's how you stop them. The liars. When you come out with facts and evidence, Andre, they shut them off. They can't say nothing. I don't take my phone and make fake phone call, you know. I'm Richard to try and fake call people and say, he's not listening or whatever. I bring documents to show. I brought documents to show that Lucas Frederick did undertake the works, and the check that was given to him, he paid people for the works that they executed. Show your documents to show that this particular gentleman did any work in any cemetery anyway. Show pictures and everything, and I will show you the rest. I have more documents to come. I'm just telling you. But you big bully, that's how we shut you up. With truth and with facts. The third thing, Andre, school sports. I know, St. Lucia, that you all heard Kenson Kazme. And Kenson, let me tell you something, sweetheart. Don't be like them. Okay, baby? You came into this thing nice and new and clean, as far as I'm aware. Don't be going around calling people liar, and that's an empathetic, empirical, all kind of big words, big fat lie, when you know for sure that it is factual. So let's go, St. Lucia. United Workers' Party did not break the story about no school sports. We were not the one who broke the story. An article in the St. Lucia Times written by Terry Finistin. Y'all know who Terry Finistin is? Terry Finistin was the former press secretary to Kenny Anthony. I think everybody knows that he supports the Labour Party. My good friend. But he's been a sportscaster reporter for as long as I can remember. He has a sports club, so he has a vested interest in youth and sports activities. And it's one of the things that I admire about him. He's my friend, Andre. We talk all the time. That he has never allowed his politics to be or to stand in the way of what is happening with youth and sports development. That's his passion. And I can tell you, Andre, the kind of things they're saying about him already. Because he was the one who reported the story in St. Lucia Times on the 24th of October. On the 23rd of October. He broke the story to say there will be no school sports. He's spoken to ministry officials, to PE teachers. These were his sources. And they said that there will be no sports because there's no money. They use the money for Julian celebration. And because of the time, they had taken a whole week for rallies, etc. and so forth. He broke the story, not UWP. All right? So get your facts straight. The following day, on the 24th, he wrote a follow-up article on the story, indicating that when he reached out to ministry sources said that they will be looking into the matter. They'll be having a discussion with Department of Education to see if they can resolve the issue. So there was an issue. And they said they will be making a joint statement later, etc., as to the way forward. And so there was an issue, Kenson. Don't try and come out and say there wasn't an issue. There was an issue. The directive was given by the PS to say that there will be no school sports because la panilage. That's what was said. So if you fixed it, I think the better thing for you would have been to say there was an issue, we had some challenges, but as minister I stepped in and I said no, that can't happen, and I fixed it, etc. That's what you should say. Don't come out and call people liar and say it's an empirical lie, etc., when you know it is a fact. And as a matter of fact, school sports did not even come back on stream in full, Andre. The decision was that they would only hold under 19 school sports in terms of netball, I think volleyball and so forth, and they would spread the rest of the activities in the second term next year and the third term. So school sports, as it was supposed to be, did not come on stream. So there was an issue. So don't come and try and make it seem that everything was okay, etc. And it's UWP. UWP didn't break the story. We got it from the media and then we spoke about it because we thought it affected it. And as a matter of fact, when Terry wrote the article, Andre, I went to lengths to read some of the comments. Parents were commenting and said, yes, their children came to school with their uniform and they say no netball today. Parents bought school shoes, sports shoes and all kind of uniforms, etc. And they told them no sports. And parents were angry online. So there was an issue and there was a communication. So don't come and do that, my boy, okay? Fix yourself. Don't follow those bad principles. Don't follow it. And the final thing that I want to see is the police commissioner. Last week, Andre, it's amazing, you know. Anytime you speak about something, the amount of calls you get from credible people to give you information. St. Lucia, remember last week, I told the police commissioner that I have not forgotten about the matter with the allegations with this the women within the police force. You'll remember that? And that there is so I just want to give you an update that the previous commissioner, when she left, she brought in a team from the RSS, independent people who have no vested interest in St. Lucia, which is what we had asked for. They came in and they started the investigation. The gentleman had gotten reports from everybody. They even brought in the deputy commissioner for questioning, etc. There were, to my knowledge, there were charges and allegations of rape and allegations of sexual misconduct. There was, I know the lawyers had already written the affidavit, etc. So, all of a sudden, Andre, do you know what's happening? Mr. Vern Gard, and that's why I put you on guard. I put you on guard because I know Mr. Vern Gard has terminated the services of the independent investigator who's almost completed with his report. And you know what he has done? He has given over the investigation to a corporal, Andre, the lowest of the rank. All right? To a corporal, somebody that he can have influence on. Imagine, Andre, so you have a little clerk working here for you, and you had somebody who was independent investigating something that may have happened at your thing, and you took out that person and you put a little clerk, the accounts clerk that you can fire if you want, you can promote if you want, you can withhold salary if you want. You understand the level of influence. You can manipulate these people. You've taken out the independent investigator and given it to a corporal to investigate. And so, Andre, all of a sudden, people are start not remembering what happened. Because there's fear. Yeah. There's literal fear in this thing. You understand? Because this is not a junior police officer we're talking about. This is somebody that you all have pushed through the ranks, who's the deputy commissioner. You understand? And Mr. Gard is asking for all kinds of information, all kinds of files. What does that have to do with you? So, c'est ça vous voulez? You understand? And that's why I said to you all, St. Lucia, last week, my information is that he was brought there specifically to stop that investigation. You see, let me tell you something. Ladies, I want to say to you, I, Nancy Charles, will never stop fighting for you when it comes to things like that. So I will continue to fight, and I want you to fight for yourself as well. But there is intimidation, Andre. There's fear. People are not remembering anymore because they will not talk to this little corporal. They'll not talk to that young man. They spoke to the investigator. You understand? And they were cooperating with the investigator. But all of a sudden, our report, Reports are no longer available. Files are no longer available. All kinds of Jimmy flicks are happening with this matter. St. Lucia, the culture of silence that is being perpetuated in this country, we need to stop it. We need to stop it. And it takes me to my topic today, because we're going to speak about healthcare today. And we're also going to speak a little bit about Soufriere, because I have my guest here with me, who is the candidate and the former parliamentary representative for Soufriere constituency. Good morning, Herod. Welcome. I think this is your second time?
My second time.
This is your second time on Meet the Opposition. When you were here the first time, you were just a regular senator. But now you're the endorsed candidate for the Soufriere Forceja constituency. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I suppose it says that the people felt that, you know, you did a good job the last time, and they feel that if they need to, they bring you back, you will do a better job.
Definitely.
So I want to go into the issue of healthcare, but I want to do something that we have a tendency to forget, Herod. And I want you to remind people of who is Herod Stanislas. You know, your background, etc. So people can be reminded that you're not just a former minister of government, but who are you? Tell us a little bit, you know, your background.
Okay, good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Andre.
Morning.
Good morning to our listeners out there. It's a pleasure to be here for a second time, Andre. And I'm very happy to be part of the discussion this morning. I was born at the Soufriere Hospital, raised in Soufriere, did my schooling in Soufriere. I started my schooling at the preschool. They used to call Miss Ford preschool. I did my kindergarten and primary school at Liseta combined, and then also at the Soufriere St. Dominic Savio Boys School. From there, I proceeded to the Soufriere Comprehensive Secondary School, and after graduation, I started a teaching stint at the St. Dominic Savio, and from there, I did a certificate of business administration with University of the West Indies at the MON. I think that's the distance education campus.
They call it open campus now.
Yes. So and then I came back to Soufriere, where I taught at the Soufriere Primary School, because we had the Soufriere St. Dominic Savio and we had the Soufriere Girls Primary School. Okay. And the two schools were merged to form the Soufriere Primary School.
You see, I didn't even remember you were a school teacher.
Yes, yes. I taught for about 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I came back to Soufriere, former parliamentary rep, Honorable Harold Dalson was the principal. Okay. So I was a teacher on his staff and so on. And after 2001, I resigned. But prior to that, I had my small business, my small tour operating business. Okay. And I resigned and went fully into my touring business. And in 2006, I diversified. It was basically land-based. I diversified onto the water. So I purchased a speedboat and expanded into that field as well, and the business has grown since then. I have a staff complement of approximately 10 individuals. Wow. Both on the land taxi and tours as well as the sea excursion. Currently, I manage my business and I have a farm, so I do some farming as well.
Selva, Jafla, bonu pa fe
yes, I do some farming as well, and you know, and stayed in touch with the people, being on the ground, and
that's wonderful.
And, you know,
I think it was important, and you see, it's bring back. It's just to remind St. Lucia that, you know, people have the notion, Herod, that everybody coming into politics because they want to make money, and that they're hungry. But it's to show, and as we start presenting our candidates here, St. Lucia, I will be showing you the caliber of candidates that the United Workers' Party is bringing to the table. We're not bringing people with no experience, nothing to bring to the table, and they have nothing and their pockets empty, etc. We're bringing to you people who know the value of hard work, people who have been working all their lives, who have their businesses, businesses or who work otherwise, you understand, but they understand what it is to work, they understand the value of work, etc., and they bring in something, some sort of experience to the table in management. So as you say, you have your team, you have your staff, etc., and so forth. And so tell us a little bit, Herod, in terms of your experience, what it was like moving from teaching. You became a politician. You ran, the first time you ran, you won, and you got into government, and you now had to manage. I have to assume you had to continue managing your business because it still exists. You had to manage a constituency, and you also had to manage a ministry. Tell us, how was that experience and that transition?
Yeah, very good question.
And why were you selected or chosen by the United Workers' Party?
Okay, the first time around? Okay. Yeah, very good question. I started into the politics, actively in the politics, in 2006 into 2007, when Sir John returned as political leader of the party. And in 2007, I was voted by the constituency branch of Soufriere as the chairman of that branch. Yeah. And then in 2010, when former tourism minister and Senator Herod Stanislas decided to contest the Soufriere seat, I became his chairman as well. I became his campaign chairman, campaign manager. So I was the chairman of the branch as well as his campaign manager. Unfortunately, he was not successful at that stint. And after that, when he decided to contest the Micoud South seat, the people of Soufriere, both the United Workers' Party people and the general populace, were after me to contest the seat. Because, I mean, I'm from Soufriere, I'm known, I taught many young people, they were all after me. Up to a day like today, many of them, they still call me sir when they meet me on the streets, you know. And many persons encouraged me, told me that they believe that I would be a very good representative for the constituency compared to what they had currently and what they've had before. And I decided, look, I'm in this thing already, and Soufriere, I felt that Soufriere was neglected by the then representative and former representatives, and I have something to offer. I have a plan, I have a vision for the constituency, and I just basically want people's lives to be better tomorrow than it is today. And I decided to go for it, to enter the elective politics, and I sent in my application to I resigned as chairman, of course, and somebody else took over. And I sent in my application. It was accepted. Another individual sent his application. At the time, our party's constitution, I think, mandated that you had a runoff.
Yes.
So there was a runoff between the two of us, and I came out victorious in that runoff and became the endorsed candidate in 2015. And thereafter, went on the ground, did what I had to do, and I was victorious at the polls in June of 2016. And it was a very informed, a very amazing experience for me as a young man coming into politics, but especially getting elected into parliament with no experience in with parliamentary procedures and so on, and also coming into the government as a cabinet minister, where you had no experience. There was nobody was taught or anything. You basically had to learn on the job, you know, as you go. And I was very fortunate to have been placed in the ministry with Guy Joseph at the time in economic development, who was able to guide me along the way and taught me quite a lot. And then I think after a year, I was transferred to the Department of Physical Planning, again with another senior minister, Ezekiel Joseph, who also was very, very nice with me, very pleasant, and taught me so much into governance and procedures and so on. But what was more rewarding, Nancy, I felt during my stint as parliamentary representative, was my contribution to Soufriere, to the socio-economic development of Soufriere. I was very pleased with the amount of work we were able to put into Soufriere, to basically transform Soufriere, to further develop Soufriere and make Soufriere stand out as one of those model constituencies on the island. And of course, with the love that I received from the many people around Soufriere, the prayers, and the well wishes every day whilst I was parliamentary rep, that was very rewarding, and that will be eternal. I'll be eternally grateful for that.
Wonderful. Well, I think I will ask you the obvious question, which is, I think everybody in St. Lucia, if there was one constituency that everybody talked about, was Soufriere and the transformation of Soufriere. And why do I say that? Because Soufriere is a place that is visited by everybody in St. Lucia. Every holiday people go to Soufriere, every off day they go to Soufriere, etc. So people knew what Soufriere was like before, and people saw the transformation under your leadership as the MP for the constituency. They saw, the differences and the things that happened in Soufriere. So the obvious question is why? Why do you think that, although we know there was a national swing, etc., but why do you think that the people in Soufriere in particular, and I do have to say you lost by how many? Was it 50?
65.
65 votes, which is very, very close. But why do you think that you lost the seat?
Well, again, I have to again thank the Soufriere people for giving me the opportunity to have served them for 5 years, and I did my very best, whatever I could have done to help with the development of the town. And I believe that a lot of the people, they were confused, they were misled with a lot of the propaganda which was spread by the St. Lucia Labour Party, a lot of the lies, the deceit, and also the empty promises. The Labour Party in Soufriere and in St. Lucia in general, when you looked at it, they promised the people of Soufriere and St. Lucia milk and honey. But today, when you listen to people and you hear of the stories of people, the stories of hardship and misery and suffering, it's like they have been given salt and vinegar instead of the milk and honey. So the people were very confused, and of course it was a national swing. So they forgot about all the good which was taking place, all the development and the progress which was taking place, and decided to go for more. And at the end of the day,
you know what they say, Herod? They say the grass is not always greener on the other side. Sometimes you leave that pasture and you see that looking so much better there. It's a good pasture, you're eating very well, but you figure that, you know what, that looks so much better over there, I'm going to go. And then when you get there, you realize it's hay.
That's right.
Because I have been to Soufriere a couple of times, and people telling me, bo, Jane and Siga, so, moi gwete, no para kite Herod la, bakay move, this, that, and the other, repla paka foye, madam lakanik passe konti nylon bag, this, that, and the. So I get the complaints. I'm sure you as the politician and the candidate get those complaints, but I am saying to you, St. Lucia, people like myself, when I go around, when I go there, people call me aside and people tell me what's going on. And I see the state of certain buildings and certain things in the constituency, things that you would have built and try to help to develop, and these things have just, it's like everything else in St. Lucia. So I was surprised but not surprised. It's like everything else in St. Lucia. I want to focus a bit on healthcare, and we're going to talk about that, about Soufriere, because we have a lot happening or not happening in terms of healthcare in Soufriere. But I also want you to expand a bit, because for the last couple of weeks, I've heard you've been speaking about certain issues happening with healthcare, especially with reference to St. Jude's, which was very interesting. I was not aware, but again, everybody have their sources. And so share with us, what is it that people have been sharing with you about St. Jude's and the operations? I know you spoke about this issue with the generator and the relay or something switch that you need to get. And then, you know, some of the issues in terms of people having to buy what you said, their own thread. And so share with us some of those experiences people have been sharing with you with reference to healthcare.
Again, thank you, Nancy. And you know, healthcare, of course, is a very, very concerning issue for all of us in St. Lucia, Nancy. And none of us should be shy of speaking to the issue of healthcare, because one day all of us will have to go through a hospital, through a medical doctor's office, you know, to get care. And what we are seeing right now is that the healthcare in St. Lucia, the health system, is in crisis. And we cannot fool ourselves and just stay quiet and say nothing or do nothing about this issue. Saying that when you get a letter the professionals, the SLMDA, the president, who represents a cadre of professional doctors and other persons, saying that healthcare is at its worst in this country, you have to be concerned. It has to be frightening to us as citizens of this country. And of course, Soufriere, many persons from Soufriere, they receive health care at St. Jude's Hospital. Many persons in Soufriere were born at St. Jude's, are still been born at St. Jude's. They go to St. Jude's almost on a daily basis to receive health care. And of course, as former parliamentary representative and endorsed candidate to contest for the next elections, I get a lot of calls. I get a lot of persons coming to me, relaying their concerns, their stories, requesting assistance, and so on for medical care. And it is very heart-wrenching, Nancy, when you hear of the stories at St. Jude's Hospital. And the place is in deplorable condition.
For sure.
There is a lot of neglect of the facility, and it is having a major toll on the personnel at the hospital. And I don't want St. Lucians to blame the doctors, the nurses, and the workers at those institutions, because those persons are overwhelmed. There's a shortage of doctors. There's a shortage of nurses. There's a shortage of technical people. A lot of those persons have to be working overtime, 14, 16 hours. And some of them are on call. By the time they get out, they have to be called back in. So these people, the level of stress, the level of focus is not 100%. So if you go there and sometimes they overreact, just go easy on them. Just
because
forgive them. It's not their fault
They're
because
just under pressure.
They're under a lot of pressure at the hospital. And I mean, the hospital at St. Jude's, if you speak with the staff at the hospital, if you speak with patients, and if you speak with persons coming in, they'll tell you the supplies are at the lowest at St. Jude's. It's like almost daily they have to go and purchase supplies, because our local suppliers and regional international suppliers of the facility, the hospital, will not sell anything on credit unless they get paid immediately.
So they have some problems with receivables.
Yes, receivables, because the hospital, St. Jude, the government is owing so much monies that those businesses are no longer offering credit to St. Jude's. So
they can't purchase.
They cannot purchase.
So they need to make sure they make money.
They make money.
So that with that, so it's kind of on a cash basis.
On a cash basis.
Wow,
supplies
that's
and stuff, and that is creating a lot of problems for the hospital. Even the X-ray machine, which is a very critical piece of equipment in a hospital like this, providing primary health care to the entire South. Because St. Jude's, Nancy, you've got people coming from maybe as far as Denry down to Soufriere, going to St. Jude's Hospital for medical care. In the heydays of St. Jude, you had persons from Castries heading down to St. Jude's for medical care. And the X-ray machine that was purchased during our time in government, it was installed, it was operational, and it's almost 3 years. It is broken, and it cannot be repaired. It has not been repaired. So what they have at the hospital is a small portable X-ray machine which cannot be used for all major X-rays of the body and so on.
Let me ask you a question. If I recall, that portable machine, wasn't that an X-ray machine that was set aside for Soufriere or for Soufriere Hospital,
no,
or is that a separate one?
No, that's a separate one.
Okay, because I remember there was some issue.
That's a separate one.
Okay.
Yes. So what you find now, since the X-ray machine is not operational, every 15 minutes, every half an hour, every hour, the ambulances have to be taking patients from the hospital to private facilities to receive X-rays.
Which is more expensive.
It is more expensive
than, let's say, an X-ray of the arm at St. Jude will cost you $30.
That's right.
With a private facility, it would be $60 or even $70.
Maybe even $100, and you've got to pay it. Because you're in discomfort, you're not feeling well, you want to get back on your feet, you've got to find that money wherever it is to pay and return to the hospital.
In fact, you have to pay the ambulance as well.
You have to pay the ambulance as well.
Yeah.
And it is costing the hospital even more monies to maintain those ambulances with fuel, with tires, with servicing.
Yeah, the back and forth.
And again, it is draining the drivers of those ambulances. So sometimes when there is an emergency, an accident or something somewhere, they're telling you that the ambulance is not available.
Because the ambulance probably has somebody doing an X-ray somewhere. Okay, understood.
You know, and these are simple, what I would call low-lying fruits that the government of the day, the authorities should be able to take care of, to bring that level of comfort and affordable quality healthcare to the people of St. Lucia, to the people of the South.
But the Prime Minister will see, and I think the tip was played, he was at some function, Millennium Heights, I don't know what it was, that he's not a doctor, and that the MP is not a doctor, and so he can help you, and he takes his cue from the doctors. I mean, I decided yesterday, to read the Constitution, and it's unfortunate I didn't bring it with me, but I think Section 16 or Section 19 of the Constitution that speaks to the Minister of Government, and it says that a Minister of Government, and you are a Minister of Government, you have overall control over the department. The department is supervised by the PS who ensures that they implement, but you are responsible for the policy, you are responsible for the daily, for general operations, general management, etc. And it's just that the PS is the one now going to implement.
Is the chief accounting officer who's going to implement the policy decisions. And
in a case like that, I mean, what is the justification? What are your thoughts when the Prime Minister say, I'm not a doctor, and Musa is not a doctor, and I'm not a policeman, and I don't understand why there's certain need that in order to be an effective minister, because that's his excuse for being ineffective. Why the certain need for being an effective minister that you have to be a doctor to be run Ministry of Health and a policeman to run security? What is this about?
I think the Prime Minister is just afraid of opening his mouth and telling the people of St. Lucia that I have failed. I have failed you, the people, as the Prime Minister. My government have failed you. And he's just looking for excuses, blaming everyone and passing on the buck. It is mere incompetence on his part and on his government for us to be in the situation which we are in today with healthcare. And that is unacceptable. And Nancy, this is clearly an indictment on the Labour Party and Philip J. Pierre as the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, who has the ability to take care of those many issues affecting the health sector, not only at St. Jude's, but at Victoria and all the wellness centers and OKAU which are experiencing on the island today. It's incompetence, it's mismanagement, it's negligence on his part, and it is showing us clearly that he is a colossal failure. So
shouldn't we hold him responsible? Because I remember during COVID, and we had, when we had put all our protocols in place, and we decided as a government that it was time to open up the country, and Labour Party was resisting and fighting, etc. And I remember Musa clearly when we started having deaths, which was right after the march.
After the march in October.
Right after the march. We had no deaths until then. Right after the march, you just see virus start spreading, and we started having deaths. And Musa said that he was holding Alan Chasney personally responsible. Should we not hold Musa personally responsible today for the negligence and the deaths of people dying in our hospitals as the Minister of Health?
Definitely. The buck stops with him, and after him with the Prime Minister. And for with all what is going on in this country, Musa should have been relieved of his duties as Minister of Health since yesterday. There is no need to have this gentleman there as Minister of Health.
So tell us about, I think I heard you share a story, and maybe many persons didn't hear it, about a young man you said who was who sat in a wheelchair for a couple of hours or whatever. Share what is he from Soufriere?
From Soufriere.
So tell us this.
Yeah,
about
very very sad indeed, Nancy, and may his soul rest in peace. And I wish he's widowed wife. He had just gotten married because it was 2.5 weeks since he got married, and he passed.
2.5 weeks since he got married?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yeah.
He had children?
He had one child, a boy.
Okay.
So I would like to extend my sympathies to his widow,
Me too,
his wife.
from all of us, yes.
The son and sister Tamara and all the family members. Our deepest condolences, and my thoughts and prayers are with them at this difficult time of their lives. And the gentleman was not feeling well, and he went to Soufriere Hospital sometime in the evening, probably after around 9-10 o'clock in the evening, and he was referred to St. Jude's.
Right.
So a friend drove him up to St. Jude's Hospital in the evening. Must have arrived there around 11, sometime after 11 in the evening.
Right.
The wife accompanied him, of course. And the gentleman, the young man, a very promising young man, Nancy. He was an entrepreneur. He had his own bakery. I mean, this guy was one of the best bakers in Soufriere. Sometimes on mornings, I would forego my breakfast at home and make sure I go to the bakery to buy my hot bread with butter and luncheon meat or salami from him, because it was so tasty, Nancy. And he was a very generous young man as well. He would support initiatives in the town. I remember during my stint as MP, he was one of the contributors who would assist with Carnival and other Alisa Soufriere and so on.
So he was a community activist as well.
He would donate and so on. And it's very unfortunate how he passed away. And when the gentleman got to the hospital, imagine, he sat on a chair in the hallway not for an hour or 2 hours until he saw a doctor. He sat on a chair for 12 hours.
So from 11 o'clock?
From around 11 in the evening.
To maybe about...
To around 11 after 11 next day.
the next day.
He sat on a chair in the hallway. And when he felt uncomfortable on the chair, he would sit on the floor. He would go back on the chair. When his feet was... swelling up and discomfort, he would ask for another chair to stretch his legs and so on. So sit on the floor. And
let me just stop you a little bit. What were they telling the wife and him at the time while he just sat there waiting and waiting and waiting? No doctor, the doctor not ready, there's too many people. I mean, did the wife say they told her anything?
She didn't say, but nobody attended. And he was, he was not the only one in the hallway. The hallway was packed with people, still waiting. Couldn't see a doctor.
Okay.
Persons had their IV on them, seated in the hallway. There are persons standing because there are not enough benches, there are not enough chairs, personnel shortage of staff and so on. And it was not until the gentleman started having serious breathing issues and they called on them, they realized that it is serious.
Right.
So they rushed. They took him and got a bed, because all that time there's no bed.
There's no bed, but now they found one.
Yeah, they found one.
Okay.
But by the time they found that bed, it was too late. And unfortunately, he passed away. I'm saying, Nancy.
St. Lucia, if there are any lawyers listening, we need some advice on this as to whether, any lawsuits, negligence, criminal, whatever can be filed, so we can provide support, because something has to give here to stop that nonsense.
Definitely. And if the quality and affordable health care which any government ought to make available to its citizens, because health care is a human right. It's not a privilege. It's supposed to be a human right. If that was available on that particular evening, doctors would have been able, the specialists, the professionals would have been able to examine the gentleman. They would have been able to diagnose an issue, and if he needed emergency surgery or whatever, within 12 hours it could have been done. His life could have been saved. He could have been here with us today. But because of the mismanagement of healthcare in this country, because this government have misplaced priority, this young man, full of life ahead of him, just got married 2.5 weeks, had to succumb to the failures of this Minister of Health and this administration. And it's a very, very, very sad story.
Andre and Herod, I mean, under the life, people are literally crying under the life.
And you get those stories every day. People go there 6 hours, 8 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. They are unable to see a doctor at St. Jude's. They're unable to see a doctor. Some people have to leave. And it is a very sad situation, Nancy Andre, when our citizens right now have no confidence in our medical facilities to go to a doctor. They rather stay at home and receive home care. Take all sorts of bush medicines, and this one will say, okay, drink that. This other one, drink this, drink
well, if
that.
they come to me, I'll give them all the bush medicine for sure.
It's a sad state of affairs. When your population have to resort to staying at home instead of going. They tell you they prefer to die at home than going to die on a chair, a wheelchair, or a stretcher at St. Jude's.
Well, somebody here, I heard a caller to Timothy's program. I think it was a lady, and she was literally broken, and she was sharing her experience as well. I think it was with OKEU, and she said she regret that she did not listen to her husband because her husband insisted that he stay home and said, "Temodusa, so many mwela say mona imo say chwe yokai chwe mwela, kite mwela kai mwe, kite mwe mola kai mwe pito." But she took him to the hospital and he died in the hallway or in the aisle or something like that. Just the same. And she said she regretted she did not listen to her husband. Maybe if she'd kept him home because he was neglected, nobody was caring for him. If she had cared for him, take care of him, give him a little bush tea or whatever, then maybe her husband would still be there.
Definitely. And you are in more pain when you get there, Nancy, because sometimes you're ill and the discomfort may be on your right side, your left side, your back, whatever. You may not be able to sit properly and so on. And when you are seated on a hard bench or a chair for hours on that same area which is giving you so much discomfort.
Yep. Can you imagine?
It makes it worse for you.
St. Lucia, can you imagine?
It makes it worse for you.
It's not.
The generator issue you raised earlier, Nancy. Again,
that
another
was surprising.
sad state of affairs. The hospital has a standby generator. When you've got a standby generator at such an institution, this is something that must be serviced on a regular basis. And there was an evening Lucilec took the power. It was almost like an island-wide.
I think we had it in the south. I remember
south,
that night.
The west coast and so on. And there was no power for over 2 hours. So the west wing of the hospital where this generator operates was in total darkness. And the generator has an automatic transfer, what we call an automatic transfer switch. So once the power goes, within seconds, it kicks in, and the generator, gives power to the hospital.
So it's supposed to be a transition, just a couple of seconds that the power goes.
5-6 seconds.
And it goes
and it comes on.
And that's a hospital in St. Lucia, just so you know, right?
That has been broken. It is not operational working for over 2 years.
Jesus.
What?
And for over 2 years, that's the automatic transfer switch. So the only way for the generator to kick in when there is no power is to put it on manually. And there's only one individual at the hospital who can do so. And that night he was not on call. They tried for
so hold on.
long time to get him over the phone. They couldn't.
Herod, the only person who can turn this switch on manually
the
because
generator.
the generator
switch
not working. We'll get to the switch in a while.
Yes.
But the only person who can do it was not on call. So they know when Lucille are going to take the power to make sure he's on call or not on call?
Probably.
I mean, how do you... and that's the new CEO that you have there, the new manager.
Yes.
And you remember the last time St. Lucia, I told her what my people at the hospital were telling me? Koikai lunch to leju, a card, l'hopital and everything. These people live in... Let me tell you, these people live in a high, luxurious life,
You
should see them at the expense of you. You. All right? So the man was not there.
Was not there.
They
so
took power.
Finally, yes, they took power. Finally, they got in touch with him. He was all the way in Choiseul in an event, in a fete.
And how long was that?
It took him after the power went off, it took them about an hour and a half, 45 minutes to get power back on at the hospital for the gentleman to come to the hospital to manually turn on the generator.
And all that time the hospital in darkness?
That west wing is in total darkness.
Jesus.
And at that same evening, there was a chopping victim There was a chopping victim, I think, from either T. Rocher or somewhere in Mikud. Was at the hospital.
Exiofe.
There were
flashlight.
The doctors, nurses, lights from their phones and so on. They have to be using. And persons scrambling all over the place. Total darkness.
Musa, you have to come and let me tell you something.
You know.
You see all the poems you were making. You used to be everywhere recording video and talking and whatever. Somebody has to be held accountable for that, Herod. And let me tell you something. Don't tell me it's hospital management. You know why? Because hospital management feel they can get away with it because nobody is holding them accountable.
That's right.
You understand? The minister does not hold it. You telling me that's the first time Musa heard that? You think Musa don't know that? And if Musa don't know that, that's one of the reasons why he ought to be fired.
Fired as minister.
Because how could you not know what's going on in an institution that you have total control over? You are responsible for.
And he's from the south. His constituency is right next door.
His constituency? not his constituency. Hold on.
You know?
His house is just up the road. Musa's house is literally about 5 minutes. Just up in Opiko. 5 minutes, no more, if less, from St. Jude's Hospital. All right?
Yep.
No more, no less, about 5 minutes, just up the hill there from St. Jude's Hospital at the stadium.
Wow, amazing.
So how can you not know?
What's going on?
And your CEO that you put in there, how can you not know?
Yeah, all the issues.
And tell me about that switch that you're talking about, because you did some research or somebody researched.
I did some research. You could get the switch online. I spoke to electricians.
Right.
Who told me you could even get it here. It will cost you more money if you buy it here.
Maybe by Weezo or one of those places. Right.
You can order it, and it will cost maybe, if the government orders it online or source it from overseas, it will cost less than $10,000, $5,000-$6,000, or even less. They told me an automatic transfer switch will cost to put on the generator.
So
for over 2 years.
So should we put a raffle sheet, Andre? St. Lucia, do you all think we should do like a little raffle sheet? Like the people does do when they go by the road and they have something attached and tell you my daughter's sick. I'm trying to raise funds. You think we should do a raffle sheet, Herod?
Maybe as an opposition.
As an opposition?
Responsible opposition.
Yeah.
That's what we should do.
So leader of the opposition and the team, the executive of the UWP, maybe Herod and I will put a proposal together so we can put a raffle sheet and some donation and whatever to raise what? $8,000, $7,000 so we can make a donation to St. Jude's Hospital to buy the switch. But you're telling me free 2 years?
2 years, over
2 years you all can allocate $10,000 to go and buy that switch?
Yeah.
You have somebody and one person manually? What does that say about management?
And
so, Mr. Stanislas, so how was the hospital able to function without any electricity? That sounds incredible to me.
Very good question, Andre. The hospital was crippled for over an hour and a half without power. In the evening. It was not during the day, It was in the evening.
I'll find out, Andre.
It was in the evening.
Because I have my sources there and I'll find out what transpired exactly. I'll tell you all next week.
And was that a section of the hospital?
A section, one section. The West Wing. A section, not the entire hospital. The West Wing.
So what sort of, excuse my ignorance, what sort of patients do you have in that West Wing? And these people
the
who
West Wing, you have the ER.
Is that the ER?
Okay. You have the X-ray department. You have the labs.
You have labs there. You have ER. You have X-ray there. Let me see if I have, and that's where you have most of the doctors' visits, etc. When patients come into the doctor's visit, that's where you have it. So that's St. Lucia, the front. Well, everybody who goes to St. Jude's know where the ER section is. That's where that's the way to.
Yeah.
So
it's terrible. It is an indictment.
In fact, they've had to put a ward there. Actually, when I went there about 2 weeks ago, because my son was not well, we spent the entire Sunday afternoon there. I noticed on the other side of the ER they've had a ward there. There's a ward there because maybe the other side has not
and this is the same thing.
Space.
People tell you they keep on building wards and stuff
everything
there, and they're talking about moving into St. Jude's Hospital. So if you're going to be moving shortly, why are you expanding on this other side in the stadium?
There's no moving shortly. And St. Lucia,
what is going on?
These basic things. If I was the manager, I would have either resigned or somebody would have been fired. But the new CEO and Musa, that's on you. The deaths of these people are on you. Because the stories I've heard, Andre, that recently you had a police officer who would have died. And it's something similar. And I am trying to get a lot more information about it, but around that same time there was a power outage. And I was in Viewford that day for sure. There was a power outage. I don't know if it was only the south or nationally, but for maybe a couple of minutes, about 5-10 minutes, there was a power outage at the south, and there was no power at St. Jude's. And the story is that this gentleman in question was somehow, whether he was being operated on or had been operated on, and there was some blood clot, something, but he died. But they were ascribing that situation because the generator didn't come on. And so what Herod is saying, St. Lucia, is truth in terms of that generator thing. And this is serious. And I'm saying, how can Andre, maybe if it's your home or even the studio here, the station here, maybe you don't have a backup generator in case it takes the power. That's radio. Maybe you think, okay, we can get by for an hour. But a hospital cannot function 1 minute without power. It cannot. So you cannot tell me that over 2 years you have a backup generator. You never know when something will happen. So we're in the hurricane season.
That's right.
What if there was a hurricane, God forbid, and all power lines are down? What happens? That's how you have doctors operating, and you don't want them to resign, Herod?
Exactly.
That is why at OKEU it's even worse. That's why the doctors and nurses are resigning.
Yeah, because the resources to make their job easier are not available. The doctors and nurses, they love our people. They love their jobs, but they cannot risk it right now. They haven't got supplies. The equipments are not operational. No medication. So those people, they are overwhelmed.
Yep.
They are overworked. So they are not even able to make proper diagnosis of patients.
Wow.
So sometimes a lot of people tell you that they gave me the wrong medication at the hospital.
Right.
The medication didn't go with me. Another doctor told me when I went, they told me that's to a private doctor. They told me that's the wrong medication they gave you. But we have to ask ourselves,
why are they making
those mistakes? Because they are not able to properly diagnose patients at the hospitals because they have not slept for days.
They are
frustrated, back-to-back shifts. Equipment is not working. They can't get proper diagnosis. They haven't got reagents at the labs.
Oh boy, I heard that one.
For simple blood tests, X-ray machines are not working, so they will just prescribe something.
They will do it to the best
pain,
of their ability.
Or they may just, through maybe experience or cases they've had before, they would maybe just take a wild guess and know that this is the issue and prescribe something when that is not the case. You haven't got antibiotics, you haven't got Panadol, you haven't got bandages, simple medication. Patients have to be taken to private facilities to do their labs, and the results are sent back to St. Jude's. All of this transportation of
imagine you're not well, that's true, and you have to be transported from there to go there to there.
And what can happen too as well, Nancy, if the private lab is not properly I would not say maybe sanitized, but properly managed and maintained, you can have cross-contamination.
Yes.
And whatever sometimes results that they send back to St. Jude's because of the cross-contamination with other specimens at that facility, the doctors will still not be able to give you a proper diagnosis and treatment.
But you realize, Herod, what is happening. You also put in pressure on those private facilities because maybe they're not set up to deal with that much backlog of patients. So you also put in pressure on them and so forth. And I want St. Lucia to understand what I saw, Herod, which was unbelievable. I don't know if you've seen it, Andre, but normally I go through social media to see the response and the reaction. And I saw some Labour Party people actually trying to justify what is happening at OKEU by saying, their words were, Oh, these same people at the Medical and Dental Association are the one, are almost like they're setting up the government because they're deliberately not managing the hospital properly so that people will go to their private clinic and they can go to Tapio because they have clinics book up OKU and Tapio, and so that the people can go to Tapio and make more money. And if they are so professional and they can write letters why they can't manage the hospital because they are the one. And I said to myself, I can't believe Labour Party supporters would say something like that. My people zoba malade. For me zoba malade. Is zoba malade pour zoka di se magie ça là. When a nurse and a doctor are not the ones who purchase the supplies that you speak about.
No.
It's management who purchase the supplies. Now, how does management purchase the supplies? It's from the money that government gives them.
That's right.
From the subvention, because government is financing it, Andre. So government has to give them the money so that they can go and purchase the stuff. Because you know the little caca that they make from the hospital visits and stuff, that's just for basic operations and stuff.
That's right.
They need the bulk of the money. And that's where the health insurance came into play, you know. I listened to Timothy last night and also yesterday, and he was talking about the issue about no government has made any effort to finance healthcare in this country. And I tried to call him to say that's not true. St. Lucia, that's not true.
Not at all.
One government has tried, and this is the only sane man who has come and looked at this problem in its entirety. When Alan Chasney came, that is why we did not open OKEU initially when we came and we found it closed. Because Alan Chasney found out that the cost to running OKEU would have been about $80 million a year.
Additional, huh?
In addition to running VH. And so he said, okay, we need to open the hospital, but where will I get that $80 million? So why don't we put in the health insurance? And money solves everything, Andre. It's money. So the health insurance was meant that if you open the hospital and people come with health insurance, you don't have a money problem anymore because they can afford to pay for the services. The insurance will refund you, so you now have money rotating. Right. You can buy reagents.
And government would pay for the unemployed, the pensioners, the single...
so when you all say that nobody has made an effort, Alan Chasney did. St. Lucians rejected it. But I can tell you, St. Lucia, I know you all didn't really reject it in your own sense because they were confusing you all. This new Allen administration will bring back health insurance, you know, because that's the solution to the problem. Money is solved by insurance. So we will do it. But today, we are paying for that, Herod. And this administration, Timothy Zosa said, listen, moi toujours ka di, se moun sa ni yon passport passé. You no special punition for you. You cannot tell me you come into government, Andre. We were at an advanced stage with the health insurance. We had support from the World Bank. We had done all the research. We had negotiated with the insurance company. All that was needed was the implementation of this thing to go ahead and let's sign the deal with the insurance company, get the cards going, get the thing going. You all stopped it and pretended you all don't know nothing about it to do universal health care just because it was Alan Chasney who bring health insurance. And today, people are dying in this country.
And the universal health care, Nancy, they said it's for 80-year-olds. Huh?
And
but the same 80-year-olds, when they go to the hospital, they have to go to a private facility to get the x-rays, to get their labs.
Yep.
Even medication, Nancy.
They don't get.
When the 80-year-olds or any St. Lucian goes to the hospitals, St. Jude's, wherever, and they are prescribed, whilst they are on that hospital bed, and they are prescribed medication,
their family members have
to take that medication and leave St. Jude's and go to M&C in Vieux-Fort, go to the drugstores, get it.
Okay, you as well.
You know? Or Tapillon, and bring it for the nurses and doctors to be administered in the hospital. And you're telling me you are offering universal health care to 80-year-olds and over? Whom are you fooling?
Tell us about the new hospital in Soufriere that is currently being constructed.
Currently being constructed?
Well, that's what I was told. So I stand corrected. What's going on?
Nancy,
give us the backdrop.
The new Soufriere hospital was all part and parcel of UWP's vision for healthcare in this country. Besides the national health insurance and all the works we did on the wellness centers and the new St. Jude's hospital. And then we had, when we were in office, as parliamentary representative and Minister of Physical Planning, in consultation, with Ministry of Health and Ministry of Economic Development, etc., we identified an area for the construction of a new Soufriere hospital. Because as people are aware, where the current Soufriere hospital is located, it has been undermined severely over the years by flooding, with the river overflowing its banks and so on. The hospital was built in 1946.
Wow.
So it's a very old...
Around the same time as St. Jude's, huh?
Exactly. A very old structure. And feasibility surveys were carried out by the World Bank and so on, of course in conjunction with Ministry of Health. And it was determined that the hospital needs to be relocated. So a new government was tasked in finding a new location. And as parliamentary representative in looking around Soufriere and so on, looking at available lands, where Soufriere has very limited land available. Soufriere, unfortunately, Soufriere has a lot of estates, private lands, and you do not have lands which are really owned by the state. So, but we were able to get 3 acres of land from the devotees of the Soufriere estate. And that land is on Sir Arthur Lewis Street. And for listeners who don't really know where Sir Arthur Lewis Street is and where that land is located,
neither do I.
If you're coming up to go to Diamond Waterfalls, after you pass the church, the Catholic church, and after that's on your left-hand side, and you go up, and then there is the Cots building in Soufriere on your right. Just after you pass Cots, you are going to get the old Soufriere power station on your left.
I saw that.
The land is right opposite the old Soufriere power station on your right. I was able to acquire from the Soufriere estate, the Devo family, 3 acres of land to put in the new Soufriere hospital. And that Soufriere hospital was going to be a 30-bed facility.
Hold on, Herod. When you say acquire, I want St. Lucians to understand exactly what you mean. That government had gone in and done what? A compulsory acquisition. But you negotiated with the family.
Definitely.
You didn't just go and take their land.
No.
You had discussions with them.
Yes.
You negotiated with them.
That's right.
And they generously gave the land.
That's right.
Of course, you have to pay them.
Yes.
But at least they gave us
the process.
The 3 acres.
As a matter of fact, the principal person who went to them to initiate negotiations on behalf of the government was Mr. Clembob, who was the chairman of the DCA at the time. And they agreed and so on, and we did the compulsory acquisition.
So that land currently belongs
to the state. It's Crown land.
So we have the Alan Chasney administration, with Herod as the rep, acquired the land, and the land is already in the name of the Crown. So cette licite assez ça nous pour nous ça faire l'hôpital. Nous pas de sorry because nous ha hente.
That's right.
And now it's been constructed?
Nope. Nothing has been done there. All in the Prime Minister's budget, I think last budget he said there was going to be $2 million to do some soil testings and so on. I believe a couple of occasions persons have come there to do the soil testing, and I don't know what's going on. But before I continue, Nancy,
we had a video. But unfortunately, Andre, we were not able to play it. But I do have a video of the place St. Lucia to show you all to show you all the land and the grass growing and everything, and the trees still there. Memania.
Yes. So it was going to be a 30-bed facility. It was going to have an operating room. It was going to have either 3 or 4 ICU units, fully equipped with lab equipment, radiology with X-rays and ultrasound machines. And another thing I negotiated for with the planners was to have what you call a decompression chamber. Because Soufriere is very famous, very popular with snorkeling and diving. And we've had incidents where divers, acquired what you call bends. And some of them are paralyzed right now. Some of them succumbed to the bends. So I said that it is going to be important because we have so many tourists and even locals diving in Soufriere. And with the premier resorts we have in Soufriere, we want to kind of stand out and let us include a decompression chamber in that new hospital in the event that anybody suffers from
future
bends.
Planning, St. Lucia. You see forward-thinking people?
So all of that is part of the planning of the facility.
Mr. Stanislas, just one thing. I've never been to the Soufriere hospital. So I was just curious, is that a real bona fide hospital or more like a wellness center?
A health
With
center.
what's going on now, it's more like almost like a polyclinic
Okay.
facility.
Okay.
Yes, you know.
So are there beds there?
There are no beds to overnight. It's more like observation.
Okay.
And then refer to either St. Jude's or OKU, or you send back home after observation.
So anybody with a serious condition will not stay there?
You'll not stay there. They'll refer you to either St. Jude's or OKU or Tapillon, wherever.
Okay, so they'll just stabilize you and
stabilize.
send you. Right.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
But you were telling us this.
Before there were beds
bed.
before. Long time ago, you had beds. You had maternity, you had pediatrics, you had the female and the male wards, all of that. But that has been.
I suppose you remember there was an incident a long time ago about a woman giving birth
and passed
outside
away on the steps.
On the steps because they say they didn't have either a midwife or somebody.
So on,
I mean, a lot of stuff has happened in our healthcare system over the years.
Yeah, but when you think
and you
of
would think that
Nancy,
we would have improved.
Yeah, I was just about saying
you understand? You think that in 2024 that we would have improved, but it feels like we've just regressed. You understand? So
yes.
Tell me, what is there's $2 million you said that was allocated for testing. Do you know, to the best of your knowledge, whether that has been done at all?
I am not sure whether it's been done, whether it's been completed. I was told that persons have come there. They've been on the site. Surveyors have been there, placing the pegs and different stuff there. But nothing concrete is happening. Road on the streets, Nancy, is that Rendo Kajada is going to be the one constructing the hospital. But the people of Soufriere are not aware of anything. It's like everything is kept as a secret.
Well, you have a secret minister.
Nobody knows about the hospital. Nobody knows if on the streets they said it's Rendo.
Right.
But the question is,
we don't even know.
We don't even know.
Right.
Was it put out to tender? Were contractors from Soufriere given an opportunity to tender if it was given out to tender?
Are they keeping the same design? The same number of beds?
Exactly.
Where's the consultation with the community?
What's the cost? What is it?
How much is it going to cost?
How much is it going to cost? Have you all received approval from DCA
and all the agencies?
So on?
But Mr. Stanislas, realistically speaking, do you think with all the issues that the government is currently facing, especially at St. Jude, do you think that they're going to be thinking about building a hospital in Soufriere right now?
But that's what you should be thinking about to ease the pressure, Andre.
Exactly.
That's the vision.
Andre, but if they don't have money to purchase basic stuff, how can they build a hospital?
If healthcare was a priority, they would have found a way to ensure that the new Soufriere hospital is constructed. They would have found.
But can they find a way to get the basic stuff that you spoke about, the switch, for example?
Okay, let me tell you, Andre. There's plenty of money which they can get to solve many of those low-lying issues. And let me give you one example. Last Saturday, there was an event on Pigeon Island. It was some Yamaha Beach Fest, which is a private event. It's a private product. The Yamaha outboard motors and other sea equipment, etc. Do you know, word on the streets, and I stand corrected, Andre, words on the streets is that the government of St. Lucia, through the tourism authority, gave the promoters $1 million for this event?
Well, I wouldn't find it strange because it was advertised as Event St. Lucia event, and tickets were available via Event St. Lucia, etc. But not only that, I mean, it just brings to the fore, as you're talking, Herod, that you had Carnival launching in Miami. You've had monies for Carnival, for jazz and all these things. It's a priority, as you say, of the government. If you have limited resources, we're not saying don't have your Yamaha and don't sponsor Carnival and don't sponsor jazz and this, that, and the other. These things are equally important, but it's the level of importance that you pursue. So there's always a place where you can pull back on your budget. You understand? You can reallocate funds, etc. And don't tell me that the hospital ain't got money, but
you could get $1 million for a private product.
If that is true.
If it is true, that's what I'm saying. If it is true.
So you'll need to come and answer.
So the government needs to come out and tell us.
Thaddeus, my friend,
it is a fact,
chairman of the tourism authority.
Whether it is tourism authority or Events St. Lucia. That give $1 million towards this activity when our hospitals have no medication, no penicillin,
no reagents, nothing.
No reagents. The X-ray machine cannot be repaired, and we are giving away $1 million to a private product by an individual whose owner is a foreigner. The same foreigners they vilified in opposition.
And wasn't just recently that the Prime Minister said monies were taken from CIP funds to deal with those issues?
No.
So what happened to that?
So the money, the money, Prime Minister was very specific. And that is something I think I addressed here on the show the last time as well. The hypocrisy of the Prime Minister saying that he gave a check of $10 million to OKEU, but was very specific to say that the money was to pay outstanding debts that the hospital had from before July 2021. So essentially what he was saying is, let's look at the date, St. Lucia. Before July 2021, meaning these were debts that would have accumulated, or debts from COVID. Remember, we had a lot of debts from COVID during the Allen administration. He came into office in July 21. 2021, he didn't pay it. 2022, he didn't pay it. 2023, he didn't pay it. He waited for 2024 when everything has gone helter-skelter. When the Medical and Dental Association write a letter, say there's nothing in the hospital, nothing is working, etc. 4 years of debts, Andre. That's a Prime Minister, that's a caring Prime Minister. Debt is not Alan Chasney debt, that's the country's debt. If every year you had paid 3 million, 2 million and just whittle away, you wouldn't have had to pump $10 million just to pay debts. That is somebody that tell you that is vindictive and political and does not care about the people of St. Lucia.
The $10 million is not all the debt of the hospital. The debt of the hospital is about $75 million.
That's what he says. That's what he says.
He never said that. Did he say it was 75 million?
He said that the thing at the recent thing he had at Millennium Heights, and he was crying for everything, and he said he's not a doctor. He did indicate that the debts is over $50 million. In fact, I wrote it down. Over 50.
So those CIP funds were not used to buy the medication you spoke about, to fix the switch and so on?
No, sir.
That went straight into...
into debt.
It came in... So it went into the hospital today, and the same day, it went out to pay suppliers.
So the Minister for Health, why didn't he speak out against something like that? To let the public know.
What do you mean? The minister is going to come out and speak out against his Prime Minister? You know what the Prime Minister said?
I mean in public. In private.
In private.
Maybe he does, because the Prime Minister did say Musa calls him every morning before he wake up. And he tell him he's not a doctor. But let's move on, because we have a few things to speak about.
Yes, but the Soufriere Hospital.
So the Soufriere Hospital is a no-no. It's a no-go, no construction, nothing.
No construction as we speak. I'm not too sure if they are going to get the resources, but like I said, on the words on the street is that Reno Kajada has been given a contract to build a new Soufriere hospital. But we know nothing about the Soufriere Hospital. We do not know if Reno is the contractor, whether he's going to be using the young men and women of Soufriere to work on the site,
people
or whether he's going to bring all the Indians he brought on.
Definitely, that's a given.
On the Soufriere Hospital, we do not know anything, because the parliamentary rep is keeping everything a secret. So we have to be speculating. We have to be asking our own questions as to what's happening. And if she's listening, I'm speaking to her to come out and tell the people of Soufriere what is going on with the Soufriere Hospital. Has Reno Kajada been given a contract to build a hospital? How much is the hospital going to cost? What is going to be the makeup of the hospital in terms of the beds and the services which it is going to be offering? What is the finance arrangement? Is it a design build finance? Is the government of St. Lucia financing it? Is it another agency? What is going on? And what plans have you made together with the Ministry of Health for the smooth operations of this hospital, the efficient operations? Because already we have a crisis at our two primary health facilities, where we have limited doctors, nurses are resigning, doctors are resigning, technocrats,
you need staffing for it.
Technical people are unavailable, so you need staff. What is going on?
Are people being trained already to get ready? Is the
project going to be a turnkey project? Turnkey meaning when the hospital is completed, is going to be equipped with all the beds, all the equipment, all the resources, all the supplies, and we just go ahead, move in and relieve the pressure off St. Jude's and OKEU. Because the vision we had, Andre, was this hospital, when persons maybe from Choiseul all the way to Canris, or even as far as Labrie, have had major operations at St. Jude's, after 2 or 3 days, they could be sent down to Soufriere.
Or to recoup.
To recoup for an additional 5-6 days before they could be sent home to create space for other persons.
Wow.
The same thing for
Wow.
OKEU. That was the plan. So persons wouldn't be staying at Soufriere Hospital for a whole 3 weeks, a month, and so on. You would come there for a couple of days
and then move.
Move. If it is a minor surgery, it has an operating room. You would get your minor surgery done at Soufriere Hospital, stay there for a day, 2 days, 3 days, you go home.
So the way you're talking, and Herod, I've just been in awe listening to you talk about this hospital thing. It sounds to me that this is something that was well thought out, well discussed, because you have so much knowledge and information about what it was supposed to be, how it was supposed to operate, etc. And St. Lucia, that's what a parliamentary a good parliamentary representative does, is that you are intimate with the issues, are affecting and surrounding your constituency. Now, talking about secrets, we also want to talk a little bit about what is happening with the GPH deal and the jetties in Soufriere. We had Hurricane Beryl, and we know that the beach park, the Hummingbird Beach Park, was severely affected. But during that time, prior to that, the facility was already handed over to GPH. So it was under their operation and not SLASPA.
Right.
And the cemetery, which is nearby, where all the seals came in and debris, etc., up to a day like today, and these are videos I sent to Andrew as well, Andrew can verify, he can see them, that it is still in the same condition. Burial was in July, St. Lucia. I think the first or the second of July. First or second, because it was
between second and third or something.
Second and third, because I was traveling from Jamaica from my daughter's graduation to come home, and the hurricane was heading towards Jamaica when I was trying to get out, and I had complications in it. So I remember it's either the second of July.
Sometime in July.
Yeah, second of July.
First week of July it was.
And we're July, the whole of July, August, September, October, and we're in the first week of November. So we are heading into 5 months, and the videos and the pictures that I have seen shows the cemetery is the same, the beach park is the same, debris everywhere, things and whatever, and so forth. And Emma said she had a secret meeting with GPH and nobody knows. So tell us about this thing.
Again, it's another embarrassment. It's another. It's again revealing the incompetence of this government and of course of the parliamentary representative. For almost 5 months we've had this hurricane under Waterfront. Nothing has really happened to uplift the waterfront, which is the lifeblood of the tourism sector in Soufriere. The big jetty is shut down. It is not operational anymore because it is severely compromised.
Wow.
Boats cannot come there to dock, to offload or load anyone. The smaller jetty next to the police station, about 3/4 of it was washed away by the hurricane. So it is a small part of it that the Soufriere Foundation placed some planks and stuff on, so that the small boats coming in, the small cruise ships, they can use the tenders to offload, unload, and also the other boats like the catamarans, the speedboats, the water taxis. They do the same, just go to offload, and they have to go and anchor, or some of them they're taking the risk of tying on to the big jetty to await the passengers so that they can come back to the small jetty to pick up and leave. But again, it was a secret deal. We've once or twice flashing mirrors. A group of individuals, I think from GPH, came down to Soufriere. They walked the 2 jetties, they walked the waterfront, and you've not heard anything. You just saw them, they came with the cameras, they walked with the executive chairman of the foundation, did what they had to do, and they left. And nothing is been said to the people of St. Lucia, to the people of Soufriere, specifically as to what is going to happen with the big jetty. Is GPH going to undertake the reconstruction of the big jetty and the small jetty? When is it going to happen? What is the plan for the waterfront with GPH? Currently you have a number of persons employed by the Soufriere Foundation manning the docks. They were manning both jetties, but since the big jetty is non-operational, they are on the small jetty. Some of them have been moved down, I think, to the Hummingbird jetty. That was already also compromised by burial. So they did some rehabilitative works there, and boats are able to access it as well. They also did some works on the jetty at the fisheries complex. But I'm been told there is some back and forth with the foundation and the cooperative, the Fishermen's Cooperative, because the Fishermen's Cooperative, they were asking for 50% of the revenue which they are going to generate off the jetty.
Oh.
Because every person who disembarks,
they pay a fee.
You have to pay a fee.
But,
I think it's
who are
between
they paying that fee to currently?
To the foundation.
Okay.
To the Soufriere Foundation.
Right.
I am assuming it is to the Soufriere Foundation. But I am not sure whether the foundation is collecting on behalf of GPH or what the arrangement is. Again, it is secret.
So nobody in Soufriere knows that
exactly what is going on.
So let me ask the question. Before GPH, when the vessels came into dock, etc., every passenger pays $1 to the
I think it was either between $2 and $3 US, I believe it was.
And that money was for the foundation.
All of that money went to the foundation.
So now that GPH is in control of the port, just like in Castries, we have to assume, since we don't know, as you say, we have to assume that money is now going to GPH. And if that assumption is correct, and GPS is now collecting that fee, just like in St. Lucia, they'll be collecting $11. They're remitting $1 back to slash the government. We need to know in Soufriere how much are they giving back. Is it 50 cents, 25 cents, a dollar, whatever?
Exactly.
We need to know that. But the bulk of, as I understand it, a lot of funding for the foundation is used to come from that.
From
and
the sites.
Foundation has how many employees do you think?
When I was parliamentary rep, when we came in, the foundation had about 140 staff.
Right.
When we demitted office, there was about 210.
So
we
about 200
jobs
people from Soufriere employed by the foundation.
Yes.
So if that funding
it's less now. It's less now. Because
they
fired almost 50.
Wow.
Yes, they fired almost 50 between December 2021 and a couple of months after that.
So Emma, who's a woman, and I have to assume the bulk of the employees are women as well.
Most of them are women.
Trying to take care of their children and their family. Within a year of coming into office, fired over 50 women.
Almost 50.
Is it because they couldn't afford to pay them?
They could have afforded to pay them, but they use all sorts of stories.
Excuses and stories.
Looking
contracts
at
and
staffing
and cutting costs.
Cutting costs and
that's the story.
Restructuring and so on, and got rid of them. And the same people they got rid of for the same positions, they are slowly replacing them
with people who are supporting SLP,
their own supporters,
creating jobs for them.
So you have not created any new jobs. You have basically replacing jobs from persons whom you fired because of the political affiliation.
You really believe that?
Yeah, man.
Yes,
but my good friend, I'm told, have you heard? My very good friend, Mr. Cyril Saltibus. He used to be in the office of the Prime Minister during Kenny Anthony's time. He had a short stint with the Governor General. I think he was, what is it they call them? The attaché or some title, but he was the one with the Governor, this Governor General, and he resigned. He was the mayor of Vieux-Fort, and now I'm told that he is employed at the Soufriere Foundation as what? Administrative manager.
Yes.
So there was nobody in Soufriere who was able to take up that job. Yes. And Mr. Saltibus, I know he will not take any offense if I say that. He's a known supporter and strong. I think he's also on the executive of the St. Lucia Labour Party branch in Vieux-Fort. Right. So we know he's SLP, right? But he's now the administrator for the Soufriere
administrative manager,
for Soufriere development, and nobody from Soufriere could get that job because he's from Vieux-Fort. I think he's probably living somewhere Suzel now or something.
I'm not sure. I don't know. But I've said to people, Nancy, I have no problems if anyone getting a job anywhere in St. Lucia. We are all St. Lucians. We've got to eat, we've got to survive, we've got to live. The gentleman, Mr. Saltibus, I know him. We are not best of friends, closest of friends. I mean, if we meet, hi, hello, how you doing? And, friendly gesture. And I know that he was born, and I think one or two of his brothers, they were born in Soufriere, but they left many, many years ago.
Yeah, I know their father and their mother
when they were about maybe 5, 6, 7 years old to Vieux-Fort. So they basically Vieux-Fortians, if you want to class it as that. But my issue with that is, was the position even advertised internally? Because there are staff at the foundation who could have applied. Whether it was advertised outside of the foundation so that other persons in
from
Soufriere
Soufriere have an
would have
opportunity.
applied, have an opportunity. It was not done.
Oh.
And that is the modus operandi of the foundation right now, that nothing is advertised, no position, nothing.
They just bring people.
Get a memo, staff, when the memo comes out, the staff, they will take photos and they will circulate it. And it goes viral, that X, Y, and Z is going to be coming as whatever, on whatever date at the Soufriere Foundation. And I'm saying the number of young persons we have in Soufriere who have qualified themselves, who've gone out, to get themselves qualified in tertiary education. The parents have spent monies on them for, for this and that, and they have not been given an opportunity. And you take somebody, whilst I have no issue with the gentleman getting his position, getting his job, but I believe it is unfair with the process, the manner in which it was done, where young people of Soufriere were not given an opportunity to apply for such a position.
Okay, we have a lot more to talk about.
I'm not done with
with what were we talking about?
With the waterfront,
the waterfront,
and the cemetery.
Okay, once you're done, then we'll open the lines because it's 1:45.
Yes,
but yes, go ahead.
Yes, so I'm saying the cemetery, Nancy, and it's a shame. I'm disgusted by that, and everybody in Soufriere, everyone in Soufriere and St. Lucia should be disgusted and embarrassed to see that almost 5 months we've had a hurricane. Half of the cemetery wall was broken down as a result of the waves, the force of the waves, and all the boats and all the debris and the stones that went inside there.
Is that recently that happened?
Yeah,
That's
July,
burial in July. Hurricane burial in July.
Yes, all the sand onto the graves. And up to a day like today, you still have boats in the cemetery. You still have...
What's the videos I sent you, Andre?
Sea sand over a number of graves in the cemetery. How much it is going to cost the government of St. Lucia, the authorities, to get those boats out of the cemetery? We're still in the hurricane season, and even though you're out of the hurricane season, we've had experience in December, the trough, where you have bad weather because of climate change.
Anytime.
To build back the seawall, Andre, to get a small equipment.
So, Senator, sorry, you saying they're canoes or something in the cemetery?
In the cemetery.
Watch the videos I sent you, Andre.
And the photos. You have about 3 boats that are still in the cemetery.
It's stuck. It's the
over graves.
Oh
my
There's
God.
a big speedboat there, almost like a fishing boat there.
It's
you have
damaged.
fiberglass
I imagine
boats.
the district rep must be aware of that. That's for sure, right?
She passes there almost every day. How much is it going to cost the government or the authorities to remove those boats there? Clean up the cemetery, remove that sand, get some young men, women engaged to remove that sand over the graves. You have the caretakers of the cemetery, to help them out. Plant some flowers, clean up
create employment in the community and clean up the community.
Back the seawall.
Come on.
The cemetery wall, build it back, repay it to protect our loved ones. In there, the parliamentary rep have loved ones buried in there. We all have loved ones buried in there. You understand? Simple thing as that. That shows you that those people, they do not care. They do not have any empathy, no love. That is a place that is supposed to be sacred.
Yes, exactly.
And well taken care of. Cannot have boats in there up to a day like today after almost 5 months. You cannot have all that sea sand over the graves. Those graves were supposed to be restored to the original state by now, with flowers and the headstones and everything there, so that families can say, this is where my husband, my brother, my uncle, my aunt, my son, my daughter is buried. I could go there and lay a wreath. I could go there and burn a candle and say a prayer or something. You cannot do that anymore.
Well, because it's supposed to be a sacred place.
Yes, an entire part of the cemetery is covered with sea sand, and boats are still there. It is embarrassing, and that shows you the mismanagement and the incompetence of this government. And again, I have to go back. If this was going to cost $20,000-$30,000 to be done, why you taking $1 million to go into an event, which is a private event, and you cannot take $30,000 to clean up the cemetery? The fishermen and the boaters in Soufriere were promised. Remember that clipping, Nancy, when the Prime Minister told the parliamentary rep,
you can give everybody $1,500.
$1,500. Up to now,
nobody has been given.
And we have $1 million to give to a private Event.
If that is true.
So here's what somebody sent to me. Somebody said to me, Event St. Lucia is a quasi-government organization, which means that the money comes from the government.
Exactly.
Furthermore, in an era where crime is at an all-time high, our productive age men are dying at an alarming rate. Our girls are being abused and suffer from self-esteem issues. This same Event St. Lucia signed off on bringing Kraft, an artist, I don't know who's that, I'll have to research him, an artist who has no respect for women, whose lyrics glorify murder, violence, and the denigration of our young girls and women. All right? So, priorities, Andre. We keep talking about priorities. Yeah. You understand? Priorities.
The people are not a priority.
We need to open the lines, Herod. We'll have to bring you back another day. There's so many things that you have done and you plan to do. You started, we know that has stopped in Soufriere.
And it's not been done.
And not been done. But we'll have to bring you back because this is Meet the Opposition. You'll get some more opportunities. Yeah. But we need to open the line. So, Andre, please give them.
One thing, before we open the
Andre
line,
gives the number.
Is the road, the Soufriere to Foster Jacques Road, which is in deplorable condition.
Wow.
And I'm calling on the authorities, the parliamentary of the government, please rehabilitate the Soufriere to Foster Jacques Road for the residents, the motorists traversing on this road on a daily basis.
Is that a place was it you whom I said there's a lot of grass and snakes are coming down?
No, that's a Bouton Road.
Oh, that's Bouton. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
The roads in Soufriere have become rainforest, Nancy. All over. Grass and shrubs are taking over the roads. And the Bouton, I'll be coming back to Foster Jacques.
Yeah, tell us Bouton quickly.
The road is in deplorable condition. I mean, you have some potholes there. They're like craters. Small cars cannot go down to that area. Even sometimes four-wheel drives, you have to be very careful when you go down there. And the roads the grass have taken over both sides of the road. So it is now a hazard for residents. And what is making it worse, that if a vehicle is coming down, residents are not taking the chance to go onto the side, the grass, to walk. Because in the Kachime area, what happens, the Kachime area is filled with snakes, boas and featherlands, and they are coming down into Bouton. So the residents do not want to go onto the grass, fearing that might be.
So they're walking in the middle of the road because you don't know what's in the grass.
So
Emma, you hearing that? There's a fear.
There's a fear of snakes.
Oh God!
In the grass, and also it's a hazard to walk in the middle of the road, even though a vehicle is coming onto you.
My God, you caught between a rock and a hard place.
Low-lying fruits, which the government could take care of, but the priority is not right. The priority is elsewhere, not about the people.
Andre, we'll open the lines.
By the way, are you sure you want to take some calls? It's almost
we might take maybe one or two calls.
There's a Soufriere Foster Jacques Road.
Right.
The plan, we rehabilitated and reconstructed a new road, Esperance Diamond, into Soufriere, and the plan was to rehabilitate, resurface the entire Soufriere Foster Jacques Road afterwards. Up to a day like today, it's 4 years. They're on the 4th year. Nothing has been done about the Soufriere Foster Jacques Road. And motorists, minibus operators, people are complaining every single day about the road.
Well,
you have a call, by the way.
Yeah, we'll just take that one call because Andre, time, yes. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Nancy, good morning, Andre. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Aaron, I will not put that question to Nancy, but I will put it to you because you are in government. Because I hear you say there are only one person that can put that generator on. So, Mr. Aaron,
that's from my information.
Okay. Is it happening now? Is it happening now, or it was all there for all the time?
It is happening now, caller.
So like the question I asked him, if it's like now that only one person was there, or it was that one person who was there all the time, all the years.
Hold on, Mr. Sonson. Let me respond to you to that one. Let's just say I know what question you're asking. Hold on. The question you're asking is whether this thing had started from way back and it's continuing. Let's just suppose under the UWP it started. This one person was there. UWP was negligent in having this one person who can turn on the generator. You telling me that it's 4 years Labour Party into government and they cannot correct that one mistake if you're trying to imply that it was from UWP? 4 years they cannot correct it and bring somebody else to assist and fix the problem?
But Nancy, that's not only the fact is the problem is with the automatic transfer switch, and it's over
and
2 years.
2 years the switch got damaged.
If the switch
2
was
years.
operational, if it was in good condition, there would not be any need to manually put on the generators. I'm calling.
You're not giving people chance to talk.
No, Mr. Sonson, we're trying to make sure we answer you.
No, but Nancy, if like
the switch went bad, hold on. The switch went bad 2 years ago. So 2 years ago the switch went bad, and now it means you have to turn it on manually, and so it's one person there who can turn it on manually.
Nancy, if you come there and you meet one person in available to put that,
yes,
you as a good heart and you're a good spirit, a good mind, you should put somebody else or train other people to do that same
so
thing.
you're agreeing that they should have done that by now?
But now, we will come to you now. Your question coming now.
Right.
Now,
you only have one question because we have to close.
I hear you say, like, if they have lawyer, they can call because of the situation.
No,
that
I want them
happened.
to give some advice to the family as to whether some course of action can be taken.
Okay, so when it was your turn, when y'all was in government and they cut the wrong leg of the lady, did you call any lawyer to give you advice? What
yes, we did. Yes, we did. The Attorney General, we did. The first thing we did, and the family can testify to that, the first thing we did was to engage the family and the Attorney General, which is the government's lawyers. We engaged them with Attorney General so they can speak to the family and come to some sort of a conclusion as to whether the government paid the family or whatever, etc. And I think there was an arrangement for payment. So yes, we did.
That's right.
Now,
you had only one question. You have only one question.
Let me ask question. If I have my house.
How, Andre and Data? That's my show. Why are you asking Andre a question?
No, I asking a question.
Okay.
If I have my house and the hurricane come and break down my house, you think I'm waiting for government to come and remove my material of my house in a particular place? And come on, you're asking some question. I don't know where you're going.
But if you can afford
to the boat.
If you can afford, Mr. Sonson, you take it out. Look at that. Derelict vehicles, hold on. Derelict vehicles all along the side of the road. The government has made an announcement that the police will be passing around and picking up derelict vehicle, whether it belongs to you or you can afford. They're just going to take it and dump it. Hold on. But they ask 5 months the person don't move it. You don't know his help they need? 5 months they can't move the boat. You don't know they need help to move it?
You're going to come to me and ask for help, so I will just stay there and see you
So
need
who's
help.
supposed to ask for help? So you're justifying the boat's been there for 5 months?
Mr. Sonson, thank you for calling. we have to close the show. I need to give Herod an opportunity to close the show. There were one or two issues.
I
Somebody said, sorry, the artist was Kailash and not Kraft or something like that. So I stand corrected. Or Kalish, Kalish is the right spelling. Kalish.
I think the guy's from Martinique, I believe.
I'm not sure.
So he's saying that those boats, basically the owners should be the owners of the boat should be the ones to go remove them.
I agree.
That's what he's saying.
I agree. But I'm saying after 5 months, Andre, if they have not removed it, this is a cemetery. This is a sacred place. This is something that, you just need to go in and remove it to clean the cemetery. Take your responsibility.
The authorities need to let the owners know you have X amount of days to remove your boat. If not, it is going to be towed away and whatever, and you'll be liable for whatever the cost or whatever is. But don't tell me 5 months it is still there and nobody is making any attempt to remove it and clean up the place and restore those graves to their original condition. And build back the cemetery wall to protect those graves inside there.
Andre, I just need to give a correction. I'm the young people, boy, they're on my case. They tell me Kalish was there, but Kraft was there also. So it was two artists. The Kalish and the Kraft person was there. Remember, they even sent me picture. Why? That the Kraft person is the one we're talking about who has no respect for women. He endorses violence in his song, etc. But Event St. Lucia sponsored for these artists to be there. So both the Kalish and the craft, and so. But Herod, we have 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, you have a question, Andre?
I think you should address his question concerning the length of time that the generator has had issues. I think he's saying or implying that it was having issues while you were in government.
No. I think what he's saying is that when we were in government, there was only one person as well who could have manually turned on the generator.
Okay.
That I am not sure. But I know for a fact from my sources in there that it's over 2 years that the automatic transfer switch went bad on the generator and it is yet to be replaced.
So essentially, Andrew, what we're saying is there would not have been a problem of having just one person knowing how to put this thing on because it's supposed to by right have that automatic switch. So when the power goes off from Nuselect, the switch comes on. So one person would not have been a problem because there's a switch.
Right.
But now that the switch has gone bad and 2 years you have not replaced the switch and you now have the issue of that one person, something should have happened. So if you can't afford to buy the switch, at minimum employ a second person so in case of an emergency there are 2 people on shift and whatever. Somebody sent a message and said, Nancy, we need to do a GoFundMe for St. Jude's for the switch and I will sponsor, and that's one of our overseas people. So St. Lucia, I think we might take this seriously. We might definitely put up a GoFundMe to purchase that automatic transfer switch. No, but I'm from the south and it might affect me. I might fall ill, Andre, I don't know, and I might end up having to have emergency surgery and they take the power and something happens. So I think this is important. So we might do a GoFundMe, St. Lucia, and I will remind you, try and set it up so we can raise at least $7,000 so we can give to St. Jude to purchase the the transfer switch. Herod, you have 5 minutes to close.
Or less.
Or less. But we'll give you 5.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy and Andre, for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
This morning. It was a pleasure, and thank you to our listeners, for listening to us this morning on this very important subject matter of healthcare, and of course a few issues put it into Soufriere. But I believe that the government needs now to step up and see that healthcare is supposed to be a priority. It's supposed to be a human right in St. Lucia, and stop playing petty politics to the health and well-being of the citizens of this country. The required necessary resources must and should be allocated to deal with the issues which are plaguing our facilities at the health centers, at the hospitals in St. Lucia, and take this matter seriously, because the health of a nation is its wealth. And I'm calling on St. Lucians not to be afraid to speak out, not to be afraid to speak up, because you can never tell tomorrow. It might be your son, it might be your daughter, your husband, your wife, who is going to end up sitting on a chair for 12 hours and pass away because no doctor, no nurse was available to take care of him or her, to diagnose him or her, so that they could have saved his or her life. It's a very serious matter, and I want to assure St. Lucians, as a responsible opposition, we are working tirelessly to ensure that we come to you with the right policies, the right programs to alleviate this health problem we have in St. Lucia, to bring back affordable quality healthcare to all of St. Lucia within the shortest period of time when we return to government. And we are going to be returning to government, and we are going to address this situation as priority number 1 when we get back into office.
Just a quick last question. Mrs. Stanislas, let me ask you, as a former MP for the constituency, and let me just address that to all former MPs of all constituencies. You're going to say, if you're not in power, basically you have no influence, there's nothing.
No influence.
You're not engaged, you're not called into anything, nothing.
And currently, even if you are elected and you're on the opposition side, you're not engaged. You're more helpless than if.
I'll give you a little story, Andre, just so you can understand it. With Alan Chasney, and there's a human resource center in I think it's in somewhere in Lacoville, somewhere in his constituency. The center it was commissioned under Alan Chasney, completed, and so forth. And they have refused to open the center. In fact, Alan, as the parliamentary representative, had asked for certain things, etc. And Richard Frederick said that Alan has no standing to do or say anything in the center because he is the minister responsible for local government, and he will be the one to dictate what happens in the center and this, that, and the other. You understand? And it's just there.
And the same for Bradley.
And he is a sitting MP, and he's the leader of the opposition and a former prime minister.
And I can remember
that is the level of disrespect.
I remember there was a former prime minister who said when he was in opposition, he said it was a good thing he was in opposition, so he kind of saw what it was like.
Kerry Anthony said that.
Right, exactly.
And he said he would do
moving
different.
forward, exactly, things would have been different. So, because Mr. Stanislas, if I see you, if I come to Soufriere and I'm introducing you to a friend of mine who's from overseas, and you're not the MP,
right.
I would say to the person, meet the former MP. Because that's supposed to carry some kind of clout.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. But St. Lucia, we're definitely going to bring Herod again. I hope we have a lot more time because we have more candidates to bring on and so forth. Yeah, not here on the studio. I'm talking about maybe during the election cycle. We're not sure when elections are going to be called, but we're getting ourselves ready. And so to some of my viewers who said you need to speak more patois, Herod speaks so much good English, I couldn't disturb him and bring in my patois today. So maybe next week I'll do a lot more patois. And St. Lucia, certainly we will be contemplating a GoFundMe for that relay switch for St. Jude's. I think it's serious enough. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but it is a serious matter. And it is our hospital, especially those of us from the south who use it. So maybe we need to do something instead of just talking. They say we're talking too much. We'll do something. So we'll do something about it. Thank you for that suggestion, caller. And let me tell you something. Please, please, please do everything you can avoid to try getting sick in this country. You cannot afford to get sick in this country. The stories that I am hearing about what's going on in those hospitals and what is happening to our people in St. Lucia are quite chekila. Okay? And so for me, I am calling again for the Prime Minister to fire Musa and bring somebody else who's competent and capable to run the Ministry of Health. And if you say he's not a doctor, well, go and hire a doctor and make him Minister of Health, if that's the issue. But at the end of the day, we cannot tolerate it, and it cannot continue in this country to have healthcare in such a state. This has been another edition of Meet the Opposition. I trust that you're going to have a wonderful and a safe weekend. It looks like it's probably going to rain the next couple of days, so be safe and be careful, St. Lucia. And please, as I said, don't do like Andre. Don't do anything that we wouldn't do. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Mr. Stanislas. You were listening to Meet the Opposition, heard on Rev Up St. Lucia every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So listen next week, Thursday, same time, same station, for another Meet the Opposition. Now stand by for Tony Paul. He's coming on next with the Rev Up Center. He'll be with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Unfortunately, Center DJ is suffering with a bout of laryngitis. He's not back to his old self as yet. So hopefully he'll be back on Friday. So please enjoy the rest of your day and stay tuned to Rev Up St. Lucia. Oh, Andre Paul saying bye-bye.